The ceremony ended. I stood on the top floor rooftop, looking down at the brilliant lights of all of Jingcheng. I knew my business map was beginning to take shape, but this is only the foundation. In the future I will build a commercial empire, a global one belonging to Chen An. CO Chen, the flight to Modu for tomorrow morning has been booked. Good. Next stop, we're going to retrieve the final piece that belongs to me. I turned and walked towards the desk. The sunset shone on my back, casting a long shadow. This life, I will finally become king. Outside the floor-to-ceiling window, the Huangpu River flows ceaselessly. After returning from Jingcheng, I didn't rest, but dove straight into arranging the global market layout. Su Qingyang stood behind me, skillfully organizing the cross-border merger documents. The arrogance of a young lady in her eyes had faded, replaced by a bit of steadiness honed by adversity. CO Chen, the North American tech giants can't sit still any longer. They've jointly sent a letter wanting to buy out our core AI algorithm. A buyout? They're afraid of being left completely behind by us. Tell them, Wang Chao Technology doesn't sell technology, we only sell products. I leaned back in the genuine leather swivel chair, looking at the world map on the wall. In my past life, these giants used a technology blockade to suppress us for a full 10 years. In this life, I will show them what it means to have the tables turned. There's one more thing. My father was discharged from the hospital today. He wants to cook a meal for you himself before he returns to his hometown. That's not necessary. Miss Su, I've already said it, between us, there is only work. Help him buy a retirement home in Yuncheng, deduct the money from my personal account. Su Qingyang's movement stiffened. She lowered her head, her voice a little choked up. I knew she still hadn't let go, but the door in my heart had been tightly shut since the day I was reincarnated. Get back to work. This afternoon's meeting with Shen Ruoxi is very important. Don't let any mistakes happen. She took a deep breath, wiped the corners of her eyes, and returned to her professional state. I looked at her retreating figure, my heart unusually clear. In this life I am no longer an accessory to anyone. I am the master of this grand chess game. After finishing overtime, I walked alone along the riverbank. The night wind was very cold, blowing away more than half of my tipsiness. Su Qingyang ran after me, handing me a coat. She looked at me, her eyes holding a long suppressed emotion, as if it could burst forth at any moment. Chenan, if I hadn't accepted that check back then, if you were still that poor boy from the past, would you, even just a little bit, still love me like before? I stopped walking and turned to look at her. The riverside lights cast a pale glow on her face. This question I had asked countless times in my previous life, but in this life, it was her turn to ask. Su Qingyang, the cheapest thing in this world is deep affection that comes too late. I know I was wrong. I really regret it. For the past half year, I've watched you climb to the peak step by step, and only then did I realize I had lost the most precious treasure in this world. You regret it because I'm standing at the top now. If you still saw Chenan, like a speck of dust holding an umbrella for you in the rain, you would only find it annoying. I didn't take the coat, letting it fall to the ground. I looked at the surging river, and felt an unprecedented sense of liberation in my heart. Miss Su, the job I give you is a recognition of your efforts during this time. If you want to talk about personal feelings, you can submit your resignation tomorrow. Su Qingyang collapsed onto the bench, covering her face and sobbing silently. I didn't look back, and strode towards the car parked by the road. At this moment, the licking dog Chenan of the past and I were completely severed. The night before the global launch press conference, Shen Ruoxi suddenly appeared in my office with her legal team. She held an agreement in her hand, her eyes showing an unprecedented seriousness. I knew this woman had finally shown her fangs. Chenan, the Shen family wants to invest more capital. We want to acquire 40% of Wang Chao Technology shares. CEO Shen, are you trying to stage a takeover? Shen Ruoxi walked up to me, placed both hands on my desk, her presence overwhelming. Behind her was Jingcheng. The Shen family was clearly not satisfied with just being a partner. They wanted to control this future artificial intelligence empire. This is the will of the old master of the Shen family. If you don't agree, all of the Shen family's labs and supply chains in the south will cease operations tomorrow. CEO Shen, do you think that since I dared to let you become a shareholder, I wouldn't have a backup plan? I opened my computer and displayed a hidden structural diagram. Shen Ruoxi looked at the screen, her face turning from white to green. She discovered that the keys to all the core algorithms were scattered throughout the old factory district I had previously acquired, and the servers underneath. CEO Shen, if the Shen family wants to withdraw their investment, please feel free, but without me, those labs of the Shen family are nothing but a pile of scrap metal. Shen Ruoxi stared at me intently. After a long moment, she suddenly burst out laughing, a somewhat self-deprecating smile. She put away the agreement and elegantly smoothed her hair. Chenan, you really are a madman. It seems I can only be your obedient partner. A smart choice. A pleasure working with you, CEO Shen. Watching her retreating back, I wiped the cold sweat from my forehead. This was a huge gamble, but I won. Because I not only know the trends of the future, but also the greed of human hearts. The stage lights focused on the center. Su Qingying, standing in the wings, nervously clenched her fists. I adjusted my tie, and amidst thunderous applause, I slowly walked onto the podium. Today, we will define the future. When I pressed the control button, Wang Chao Technologies' first-generation General Artificial Intelligence system officially launched. At that moment, the entire hall fell deathly silent. Immediately after came a sky-shattering cheer. I knew that from this moment on, the name Chen An would be written into the history books. My God, this is technology that's 20 years ahead of its time. I looked at the fervent faces below the stage, yet my heart felt few ripples. In my past life when I died in that dark alley, Owen knew who I was. But now, the whole world must listen to my voice. CEO Chen, we succeeded. This is just the beginning. Assistant Su informed the legal department to prepare a draft of the global industry standard. Shen Ruoxi came over and generously gave me a hug. She whispered in my ear, "The Shen family is completely convinced." I pushed open the doors of the auditorium. Outside was a sky full of stars and flashing camera lights. At this moment I finally stood at the highest point, not for love, not for honor, but for this view from the summit that makes all other mountains seem small. I refused all interviews, and went up alone, to the rooftop. The wind was very strong, messing up my hair, but it made me feel more clear-headed than ever. I finally understood, the greatest meaning of reincarnation isn't revenge, but giving myself the power to choose my own destiny. 1 year later, I returned to Yuncheng. Nothing here had changed except that the Su and Zhao families had long become topics of idle gossip. I wore a black trench coat, holding a bouquet of white wild chrysanthemums, and stood before an unmarked grave. That was my burial place in my previous life. In this life, I have lived for you, and also taken revenge for you. You can rest in peace now. I placed the bouquet down and turned to see Su Qingying standing not far away. She had resigned and was now a teacher at an elementary school in Yuncheng. She looked much calmer. Her eyes no longer held the greed and arrogance of the past. CEO Chen. Long time no see. Long time no see, Teacher Su. We exchanged a few words like ordinary friends and then walked past each other. No clinging, no melodrama, just the tranquility of waking from a dream. Shenrox's phone call came, telling me that Wang Chao Capital's market value had surpassed $1 trillion. Big Boss Chen, where are you planning to go next? To a place where no one knows me to get a good night's sleep. I hung up the phone and turned it off. The sunlight shone on the sea's surface, glistening on the waves. I took the yellowed 10 million check out of my pocket. This was the memento I had always kept. I gently tore it, and the pieces scattered into the sea with the wind. To hell with love, to hell with honor. In this life, I have lived wonderfully. I walked towards the sports car parked by the road, started the engine, and disappeared down the end of the road. The legend of Chen An continues.